Ladies and gentlemen, we're so glad you guys are back with us. College football update. A full weekend of football from Thursday to unfortunately last night. We've had a ton of games. It was great despite last night. You're going to hear a lot of that from me tonight, but we got to get into this. First and foremost, Alex, the new AP poll is going to come out, and with some of these upsets, some teams that were not ranked are now in the top 25, even in the top 15. What does the new polls look like?
Yeah, so we'll start off right at the top there. Ohio State, number one. Not surprising after they took out Texas. Penn State, number two. LSU jumps 6 spots to number three. Georgia, number four. Miami climbs 5 spots to number five. Oregon, number six. Texas drops to seven. Clemson to eight. Notre Dame to nine. South Carolina into the top 10. There you go, Will. Illinois at 11. Arizona State drops 1 spot to 12. Florida jumps 2 spots to 13. Our biggest riser of the week, Florida State, all the way up to 14.
Wow.
After whooping Alabama like that. Michigan drops 1 spot to 15. Iowa State jumps 6 spots to 16 after their 2-0 start here. Big game against Iowa this weekend. 17 is SMU dropping 1 spot. Staying put at 18 and 19 are Oklahoma and Texas A&M. Up 1 spot to 20 is Ole Miss. If you're waiting for how far that drop was going to come, it stops here, dropping 13 spots. The Alabama Crimson Tide. Yeah, that one's. I'm surprised they dropped that far, although it's warranted. Tennessee climbs 2 spots to 22. Indiana drops 3 spots to 23. Texas Tech drops 1 spot to 24. And climbing into the back end of the top 25 is Utah. The two teams that dropped out, Kansas State and Boise State.
Woo. Come on now. Now, obviously, everybody takes a look at Florida State and that Alabama game. We know Florida State got the upset, so they rose up. Alabama, who was 8th, dropped all the way down to 21st. But, Will, I'll come to you. I mean, we had a lot of back and forth when the first polls came out and kind of, is this real? Is that real? We got to see everybody play. We got to see what's really on the field. You like this top 25? How you feeling about it?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose I don't really put a whole lot of weight into the early season stuff like this. If you kind of think back to like last year, everyone was stunned when Georgia Tech beat Florida State. But then by the end of the year, was that really a quality win? Exactly. Not really. Right. There's a chance that this might not be a quality win for Florida State when it's all said and done.
Which is wild to say about an Alabama win.
Right. But you know what kind of surprises me about this? In the top 5, nobody is talking about Georgia this season at all. But yet they keep sliding them into the top 5, and yet nobody is talking about any of the players excite them. I can't name anybody on the defense like you normally can. I don't know who their quarterback is nationally. They do in Athens, and they like Gunner, who committed to the Gamecocks first. But he'd rather be in Columbia. But that's another story. But it's just kind of interesting that they put this team in the top 5, and yet no one cares about him right now. Are they just like sliding under the radar or something? I don't know. It's kind of surprising me.
Yeah, that definitely is a shocker to me as well. Nobody has been talking about it except for obviously our guys. But then you have a couple teams that have been getting talked about, LSU being one of them. To have them jump all the way to 3, Alex, it's kind of warranted. It was solid, big win against Clemson, and that defense looked amazing. I think it was something like 50% of the time they rushed at least 5 people. You know what I mean? And then, it went down to like 40% of the time they rushed something like 6 or, and then 20% they rushed about 7. But they rushed out of 43 or some odd plays that it was like 29 where they were rushing. That's 43 drop back passes. I'm like, they came to play. And Klubnik is no slouch. We all know how good Klubnik is, and they were able to neutralize him. Shout out to Harold Perkins. I mean, some of these are definitely warranted. Definitely LSU.
Yeah, I mean LSU. If you're judging just on week one, LSU probably looked like the most complete team in college football. They were amazing defensively. Nussmeier in that offense, they were rolling against a very good Clemson defense. There was the storyline going in of, if I'm not mistaken, LSU had to replace almost their entire offensive line, and they looked more than fine against an amazing Clemson front seven. So it's far different than what we expected from Brian Kelly and LSU off the bat. But if they can keep that up, they might run away with that SEC.
But think about what you just said there, though. Being the most complete team, you had a returning quarterback. Yep. You have a returning leader on defense in Perkins. Like, is it as surprising versus some of these teams that had these changes or new players stepping up? And guess what? In week one, they didn't look great. Shocking,
Yeah, I think it was more surprising just based off what we know of LSU under Brian Kelly, where they, oh my God, this great roster, these star players all over the place, and then they fall flat on their face week one. And then they kind of recover but don't look great. They looked great out the gate. So if that's the case and they typically build going into the season, that makes LSU extremely dangerous this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, Eric, at the end of the day, we know week one, it's not as big of a deal because of how things play out with the playoff and everything. You can lose a game very early on, and run the table and get to the national championship, much like you guys did a year ago. What are your thoughts? Obviously, you guys are still in the top 10 at Notre Dame, but tough loss against a potentially really good team. How are you thinking, and what do you think about some of these other teams that fell too after a loss in week one?
I hate it, Sean. I know. We talked about it in the chat. Fundamentally, no one after week one who has a record of 0-1 should be in the top 12. So South Carolina, move them above Texas. Illinois, move them above Texas. Like Texas should be 13. Notre Dame can be 14. Like you've done nothing to earn your ranking at that point. There's lots of season to play it out and earn it back. But it's the thing that I really hate about it is that we say it doesn't matter, but it does. And here's the reason it matters. The reason it matters is Texas has a loss. They dropped to 7. They do not have to work their way back up at all. They're already still in the thick of it. Like, yeah, they lost to Ohio State, who we presume is good.
Yeah.
I don't know that Ohio State is good. I mean,
neither of those teams really played that great on Saturday. So do we really know much from either team?
Based on history, I assume Ohio State is, but I don't know. Same thing with LSU. Penn State. Why is Penn State ahead of LSU when Penn State played Nevada and LSU went on the road and beat a team that was perceived to be the number 4 team?
There's an argument for Clemson to be, or LSU to be 1 based off the results week 1.
Yeah, so none of this quite makes sense to me, and I think that there's teams that should be penalized more, and they do climb back up in those standings easier, including a Notre Dame. When we go 10-2, and part of it's because we didn't drop that far at the beginning of the season, because all you can do is build after you lose. So there should be some sort of greater penalization for having a loss. Do I still think Texas is a top 10, top 12 team? Absolutely. But at some point you still have to earn it. And South Carolina, they went out and they beat a decent Virginia Tech team. That win is more valuable than so
and neutral site and
Miami beat what was perceived to be a number 6 team. Isn't that more valuable than the Georgia win over 45-7 Marshall? Now, I think Georgia, I still put them in that upper echelon of
Mhm.
top 2 or 3 teams, even though, to Will's point, the only person that I know that really strikes fear in me is the Branch brothers.
Yeah.
But we all know that they're really good. So, yeah, it's a shame when you get later in the season and then all of a sudden, let's say Clemson goes and loses 6 games, just ridiculous, right? Well, at the end of the season, you still hear LSU beat a top 5 team at the time.
At the time.
And that is the most
Right.
frustrating, ridiculous thing. But it gets pulled every year, and they say it as part of the criteria in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're top 5 wins, top 10 wins, and they base it off when they played them.
Yeah, tell me who the top 10 wins are after week 12.
So what's crazy is, I don't know if you heard it, and I think it was week 0 or it was week 1. I think Kirk Herbstreit was actually trying to advocate for the team that does lose. It should mean more if they played a better team, like the Texas, because he was basically trying to defend the Texas and say, because they played Ohio State, who we perceive to be so great, then that loss shouldn't be that much. And I completely agree with your argument, but Jim's in the
will.
Oh yeah,
but it will.
Jim's in the comments saying it's not only who you lose to, it's how many points the team was that beat you, how many points you get beat by. I mean, there's other parameters in it, but keep going, Eric.
No, but they will. I mean, Ohio State keeps winning, so Texas is getting the credit now when we don't know who Ohio State is for the next 4 weeks. Now, if Ohio State keeps annihilating people, that should build up Texas on Texas's rise back up.
Mm-hmm.
But for me to say these 2 teams that we perceive to be good played, and one lost and is 0-1, and the other we still don't know exactly who they are. I mean, so many teams come out rusty too, man. Like I don't know if my team was bad or rusty on Sunday night.
I think your point of saying that there are 3 teams in the top 10 right now that are defeated. That's a great point right now.
Yeah.
Say, like, how do you go into week 2 and you have 0 wins and you're in the top 10?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a phenomenal argument.
Yeah.
And I mean, the other thing to look at too is, are these rankings going to sway the CFP committee at all? Are they going to be like, oh, if they're making it right now, oh, Texas is still number 7, so we got to rank them really high because they had them really high, right? Like, how are these rankings as we get closer to the end of October, beginning of November, when they actually make the first CFP rankings? How much are these rankings and the way the Associated Press is ranking these teams affect their ranking?
But how different are they usually? Because it's not usually that much different.
Normally there's not that much different.
Yeah.
Shoot, I just thought about this looking at it. The argument down here in South Carolina is the fact that Clemson doesn't play anybody, and they're 0-1 and ranked number 8. South Carolina is 1-0 and ranked 10th, and yet they played teams from the conferences. So South Carolina said, "Look, we just played your conference and won. You just played our conference and lost. How are you ahead of us?"
Yeah, and lost that. Like there's
and don't you play this year?
Yeah, they play every year.
So that's the other frustrating thing. That is going to work itself out.
Yeah.
There's a head-to-head, so the team with a better record should be above. But
I agree.
Got a point.
Yeah. I mean, you also don't want to punish. You don't want to punish the Clemsons, the Notre Dames, and the Texases for saying week 1, like, we were so excited for this slate. Whereas, like, all of a sudden now, week 2, Alex is really excited. That's the best game we've got going forward, but it drops off dramatically. I told my wife, "Hey, weekend is yours. What else? What do you want us to do? This is not a weekend where I'm going to park my butt on the couch."
Yeah.
But we need something, because if we didn't have rankings, I would have never tuned in 2 weeks ago to Iowa State, Kansas State. because I never would have known that these two programs were top 25 teams and it was worth something. Had Alex, you not said that, I would have been like, I'm not watching this game. There's no reason. So it's like, you have to have something. Do I think that Florida State all of a sudden goes from 0 to top 15? No. No. You know, but should they, you got to have something here to figure out what games are worthwhile.
I agree.
Yeah.
We just got to be honest about it, and I don't
Yeah.
think we're honest
not all
about
wins
it right
are
now.
equal. Well, I mean, to your point about, let's go to Georgia. Go to your point about Georgia. They play a team that, yes, in name, Marshall is maybe mid-level or bigger school, but their entire team transferred out last year because their coach did not get extended. Their entire team either went to the pros or transferred out. So they literally are a brand new team. Now, Georgia dusted them. Yes, we know how good Georgia is perceived to be, but that wasn't a matchup as opposed to the Ohio State beating in Texas or Alabama losing to an FSU, where it's kind of like, yeah, they lost to these guys, but they're going to be good. And brands, how do brands come into this? You know what I mean? To your point, the Clemson, Texas, part of the reason why I don't think they're dropping out is because those are the teams that people want to see.
It's
you know
because
what I mean?
most AP voters don't deserve an AP vote.
Oh yeah,
that's why.
Yeah,
there it is.
You're spot on.
Yeah,
and I mean, when you look at these games in general, there's so much context that goes into it too. Like, essentially, looking at that Alabama-Florida State game, you can make a very strong argument that was essentially Florida State's national championship this year, and Alabama, it was just another game. We don't know that yet, but you could make a strong argument that for months they were just like, oh my God, it's Alabama, let's go, and got so hyped up for it, and were ready and ready to go, and Alabama kind of came in as this is just another game, and got their tail tucked between their legs. Like, but we don't know until, like EK said, probably about a month in.
I guess the other thing more than ever is that there's 12 spots now.
Yeah.
So,
and 5 auto bids.
I know we're all worried about who has worse, better strength of schedule and all that. But at the end of the day, you still got to win the games.
Yeah. Wins and losses still got to matter.
Yeah. And it matters more to you, and I don't have to tell you this, but without a conference championship, you got to win
one last game. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, we can go back and forth on this all day. And like to your point, Eric, the people that are coming up with these, I don't know exactly where their heads are at with this, but it's going to always be changing and fluctuating.